something deeper than designing ramps for wheelchair users or bathroom for unisex people suffering physical disabilities. From the cultural point of view, in 60 years, so basically after World War II, the concept of inclusion was spreading, and nowadays we can considering some important pillars such as cultural advancement on the topic. There are commitment from the academic community on teaching, research, cooperation, cultural positioning, how to properly consider inclusivity not only as a subject for design studies, but also as a behavior through which we can lead design studies. There are over 15 teaching approaches and design approaches that revolve around the concept of EDI, universal design, design for all, medical design, ergonomics, human-centered design, and so on. And finally, strong commitment from academics. So we are not alone, but the commitment can easily drive us toward bias avenue. For sure, the position that we are now considering is that how can we place the future designers, which are now the current students that we work with, in a position to properly address and understand how the society is evolving, and mostly how to intercept the clear demand for inclusive solutions. But it's not glitter, all that shine, or how can we say? If this is the positive aspects that we can intercept, on the other side we need to clearly consider and understand what are the criticalities behind this problem. So if we consider that social inclusion is important, so why we have not the perception that any solution sold in the market is inclusive 100%, or why we don't have the perception that all modules that we teach are fully inclusive, not only in terms of content and nature of projects, but also in terms of educational settings. The problems that we have identified to start this project were the following 6. So first of all, there is a fragmentation of available knowledge across different approaches. The fact that there are 15 different approaches means that there are different interpretations about the same topic. And there are clear evidence in the literature that people that, for example, work in universal design, even though they discuss the same topic of others that work in human-centered design, design for all, and medical design, they don't share the same experience, and basically this is more related to what we call knowledge silos. So there is a spreading of effort rather than a convergence and a crystallization of effort. Persistence of biased contents within undergraduate and postgraduate programs. When it comes to social inclusion and inclusive design, etc., the main idea is that we are talking about only physical disabilities. So we are mainly talking about people using wheelchairs, or blind people, or people with mental health. Only few cases are documented to consider holistically the co-design process, working with communities, and also understanding what happened when the product has been designed. Lack of standardized teaching guidelines for design for EDI, as well as cooperation among academics. Last but not least, solutions developed by design trained with biased content seriously may risk to generate snowball effects in a negative way. So as a design educator, we have the imperative and the commitment to properly train our students in order to act promptly in an inclusive society, or in a society that aspires to be very inclusive. If we start from a condition of social exclusion and the goal is to generate an inclusive society, at some point the contribution of the design education for EDI is paramount. And therefore we need to act exactly in this node of the chain in order to maximize the impact that as educators and academics we may generate through and with students. 2 simple questions. Can design schools promote an informed, unbiased design culture centered on EDI? And how can we create enabling solutions to advance design education for EDI? Those were the two main questions that we set up 3 years ago when we wrote and we proposed this project. As we will show in this presentation, these answers have been answered in different ways and also provided us the opportunity to critically reflect on topics that we didn't consider a prioristically, but we later found very useful to define the main outcomes that we will show you today. And then the EDIDesK project. EDIDesK is the acronym of Design Knowledge on Equality, Diversity, and Inclusion. And it's a project that set 4 main results. If we want to understand how to generate unbiased content on design for EDI, we need to make a map of the best contents. We need to isolate and extract the state of the art in terms of design and for EDI in Europe. Then we need to develop a European framework on design education for EDI. So understanding, setting up and making standards, and finally promoting, so creating the first open access digital learning platform to teach design for EDI, and finally releasing the first set of contents. I briefly explained what you will see throughout this presentation. Now I'm happy to leave the stage to my colleague Marta Więckowska to showcase the work package number 2.
Yes, thank you, Emilio. Okay, so I'm pleased to present the results of our research, which become the starting point for our discoveries and for our proposals for teaching practice. And we analyzed around 120 teaching modules across 4 countries to understand how EDI values are represented in educational content. We also organized about 60 interviews with teachers, and we were looking what kind of project students are doing, what kind of competencies they are developing, and what is the educational content and approach. It was very, very important for us to see how it is effective and what is the teacher's opinion. And our research confirmed that the sensitivity of EDI values and issues is already visible. You can see here on this graph that is the teaching practice across all examined countries: Italy, Poland, Slovakia, and Spain. However, these values are not represented in the same way or in the same extent. They appear in different contexts and with different approaches, from ergonomics and accessibility to cultural, social, and economic exclusion. And this shows that EDI is original, but is often fragmented and depends strongly on the specific module, discipline, or teaching perspective. Next slide. Okay. We also analyze the availability of teaching tools and educational approaches that is available on internet. As a result, we gathered and prepared a database presenting a wide range of frameworks, teaching aids, and methodologies. These tools mainly address inclusion, diversity, equality, and accessibility, and many of them are designed to support the design process or workshop activities. A key characteristic of the database is that all tools are open access, and many of them support both individual and collaborative work. Several are also supported by scientific evidence or references, which makes them particularly useful for implementation in teaching environments. Next slide, please. The database prepared is in Airtable software, and it can be easily browsed and used by educators. We also analyze the teaching context in which these tools can be applied. And in this way, the database is not only a collection of resources, but also it can help educators choose tools according to specific learning goals of teaching format. However, the tools themselves are not the answer to effective EDI education. They should be seen as a supportive resource. To be effective, they need to be embedded in a broader pedagogical approach. And next slide, please. So for us, the most important question was to understand what we actually want to teach, what is the most important. And this led us to the need for a clear framework of key EDI competencies. And based on the research we have conducted, here in this presentation, you can see some of those competencies. They are not only related to hard skills, but also, and I think they are the most important, to soft skills. Communication skills are crucial, like empathy, openness to feedback, the ability to listen, and the ability to present a coherent story about the issue or design challenges that students are working on. And in this context, the designer becomes not only a creator, but also a negotiator to advocate between users and other stakeholders. Next slide. And to support the development of these competencies, we developed best practices. And here I will present some of them. But they should be understood more like direction and aims rather than fixed rules. First, if we want students to understand complex EDI issues, we also need to provide content that is accessible, understandable, and easier to implement. This is important because complicated materials can discourage students instead of engaging them. The aim is to build curiosity, involvement, and confidence so that students will feel able to work with EDI topics rather than seeing them as too abstract or too difficult for them. Next slide. If we want to develop real competencies, we also need to provide learning conditions that are close to the real-life solution. That is why modules should include working with real stakeholders and should give students full responsibility for gathering feedback from users and other relevant groups. And this kind of experience helps students understand that EDI is not only a theoretical framework, but something that directly affects the design process, decision-making, communication, but most of all, real people and their everyday challenges. Next slide, please. Other educational challenges were connected with with how students perceive their future profession. Sometimes they do not immediately see that the EDI values can appear in their design practice. In my teaching practice, in our research, this kind of professions were mentioned, like illustrators. They didn't see it. That actually, in their profession, they shape the visual sensitivity of the audience and influence even how people, cultures, or social roles are represented. And this awareness should be developed, but it requires direct experience with this topic. So students need an opportunity to recognize that EDI is relevant, not only in maybe domains like social design or service design, but also in other. Next slide. So this self-reflection is really important, because EDI issues are not a closed or finished list. They need to be continuously discussed and redefined because our surroundings, technologies, and social realities are constantly changing. So teaching should therefore focus not only on knowledge, but also on creating an environment in which students are encouraged to challenge their own ways of thinking and recognize their own stereotypes. This is crucial because it helps them become more independent in questioning their assumptions, and it also allows them to approach design with bigger awareness, responsibility, and openness for change. And here you can see a quote from a survey from one of my students after finishing the course that we were testing. Thank you. That's all from my side.
Okay. So as we can see, the picture on the teaching. Oh. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's because I think that they can follow the people online anyway. The understanding how to teach design for EDI properly in a very structured way was paramount, especially because we then applied what we searched. Then we moved from result number 1 into something that later on allowed to develop the result number 2. And then we applied the information gathered into real-life teaching experimentation with students. Some stats, 5 universities involved, 4 countries, 2 in Italy, Spain, Poland, and Slovakia, considering 5 different disciplines: architecture and urban design, product service system design, industrial design, product design, and digital design. A 10-month-long experimentation made during the last academic year involving more than 12 teaching staff, more than 300 students that collectively developed over 150 projects that most of them are documented into 5 graphical reports. That was an important stage that allowed us to understand some key features that later on have been translated into the first European standard, the European framework on how to teach design for EDI. First of all, students as knowledge producers, they can extract information much better than academics sometimes if they are put in the condition to express themselves and simply guided into how to apply an informed, inclusion-based design process. Often it is translated into a co-design process, often into a live project experimentally developed with other disciplines, as we have done. But students were at the center of the design education in the sense that they enabled the EDIDesK project to understand the magnitude of information that we gathered so that we can extract first-hand information that later on have been translated into proper guidelines. We then applied innovative teaching design tools previously collected in the database that my colleague Marta Więckowska has shown before, but at the same time we developed also ad hoc procedures to collect and cooperate with students, not only physical but also digital. Innovative teaching methodologies, we run, I don't want to say any possible form of teaching with students, but for sure we explored different means and strategies for working with students, spanning from traditional design workshops, flipped classroom, live projects, co-design with final stakeholders. And here we can say experimentations made in Pescara on left, Bratislava on the center, Katowice in Poland on the right, as well as co-design with students and staff in Barcelona, and rapid prototyping and first-hand experimentation with technological tools in Florence. We concluded with new generations of solutions. So basically, even though we worked within some specific disciplines, we immediately realized that the border of disciplines are quite blurred when it comes to inclusivity, not only because we are forced to employ specific methodologies that requires an evolution, a disciplinary evolution sometimes, but at the same time, the nature of projects, it's very much goal-oriented and result-based. So it's not working within the disciplines, but through the disciplines in order to achieve a goal that can be demonstrated to be inclusive. Like in the example that we can see here on the left, projects made by our colleagues in Poland on autonomous buses, working with elderly and how to generate a combination between, how to reduce the frictions between elderly and technology, especially when it comes to autonomous vehicles, or maybe the one in Barcelona when students also explore deep emotion-oriented elements such as empathy, affection, even through prototypes so that can be tested with real users. Finally, when it comes architecture and urban design through the work made by our colleagues in Bratislava, where students were also trained on the use of new technologies in order to rapidly test and predict possible effects that inclusive spaces may generate, such as using AI, artificial intelligence, or how to combine modern technologies with the compliance with architectural standards. But most and foremost, that was a learning process that not only enabled students to be the first actors to benefit of novel teaching and learning methodologies, but also it is like seeding, the first seed of a transition that may generate a discontinuity in the way we see people and society. That is the most rewarding picture that I can use in order to conclude the teaching experiments, because as you can see, it's not just a class. It's, I see a future-informed group of designers that alongside technical skills, now they can also bring a design culture which is more than ever needed, especially considering this historical period. The third part of the presentation will be led by my colleague Zuzana Čerešňová from the Slovak Technological University in Bratislava, and she will showcase the European framework on design education for EDI. This is the result number 2 that we have set in our Erasmus Plus project, and it's a milestone in its sense because for the first time we propose something that can be not only accessible and acceptable by the design community, but also shared in terms of values, in terms of goals, and also teaching and learning methodologies. I leave the stage to my colleague Zuzana.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. So I will explain our huge amount of work together with all project partners, which we're focusing to develop a European framework on design education for equality, diversity, and inclusion. Next slide, please. Because this framework is created like a shared structure to connect content, pedagogy, and course application, because it is very necessary to provide also to other people, other universities with such a framework that can be very helpful for them to create courses and modules focusing on design for EDI. Because it is really necessary to collect all these good practices and provide such a framework to better work and to better educate our designers and architects. Next slide, please. This European teaching framework is the main output of work package number 3, and it is helpful because it can support teachers and institutions in the use of equality, diversity, and inclusion content. And not only content, as it was mentioned, it is very necessary to provide also inclusive pedagogical approaches and inclusive resources and possible course applications to better create such modules and courses on design for EDI. And this framework provides us with a lot of resources and guidelines how to create and how to transfer and easier to apply this in practice. So it means that it is a tool, it is a shared tool that can help everyone to apply this in our teaching practice at universities. Next slide, please. It was consisted in, or it was developed in 4 phases because, first of all, we created some generalized teaching framework based on activities that were in work package number 2 that was mentioned by Marta and Emilio in previous presentation. And then after that, we tested this teaching framework through workshops with students, with local stakeholders at participating universities in Italy, Poland, Spain, and Slovakia. Then it was very necessary to evaluate and assess to these results that were achieved during the testing and to refine, validate the framework and to create a final proposal of this European teaching framework on design for EDI. Next slide, please. We used methodology which was based on a shared process with all project partners in different teaching and learning environments, not only physical, as it was mentioned, and also in digital learning environments. And it was really necessary to gather all information from all project partners to collect best practices, different topics, references, also pedagogical and strategies and assessment strategies, how to collect feedback from students, how to assess the student work. And it was necessary for the final step to identify the key points, pillars of this teaching framework on design for EDI, because it is really helpful to have some key points which should be implemented in different design fields. As it was mentioned, we have 5 different design fields that were involved in this project. So it was really necessary to identify these key pillars that should be implemented in each design field. Next slide, please. So, and what are the key points? What are core principles of design for EDI, how to teach the design for EDI? Across all these disciplines that were mentioned, EDI is conceptualized as a human-centered approach. So it is grounded in empathy, equity, and ethical responsibility. So it means that empathy is the foundation of understanding. The students should be empathized to be aware about these principles of EDI. So it means that this human-centered and ethical approach seeks to ensure that all people, regardless of physical, sensory, cognitive, cultural, or social differences, can really participate fully and benefit from society. So all project partners demonstrate a multi-scholar understanding of inclusivity. As it was mentioned, it is not only about physical accessibility, but it is spanning systemic, social, digital dimensions of human experience. So it means that all our experiences within the built environment, with the products, with the systems, with everything what is around us. So these 3 core principles, empathy, equity, and ethical responsibilities, are really core for understanding design for EDI and to teach students to really be empathic to understand these issues. Next slide, please. And what is really necessary is also pedagogical transformation. It means that transform our traditional teaching to experiencing, to involve students, to engage them to different lived experiences. So it means that provide them participatory and reflective learning processes, not only empathic simulations and on-site surveys, but real-world projects are very important, stakeholder collaboration and personalized mentoring as well. Hands-on workshops, co-design, prototyping with real users and testing with real users. So it is necessary to understand that the learning process should be experiential, participatory, and reflective. We need to reflect, we need to provide students with critical views and self-evaluation, so that they need to be involved in this process, not only to learn about some kind of theory, but they need to actively participate in this teaching by experiencing. Next slide, please. And also what is very important in this pedagogical transformation is to put learning about inclusion, or to start with learning about inclusion and put it into the learning through inclusion. So it means that this theoretical knowledge and awareness should be moved into the actions, participation, lived experience. So it means that also we need to use inclusion as a method, not only just as a topic. So it means that we need to shift learning about inclusion to learning through inclusion, and to make this diversity and empathy active components of the design process. It should be also embedded across the curriculum that EDI is not only like a separate course or module, but it is infused in all these different courses, different module, and it's not only like add-on approach. After design process, we need to add something to be accessible, but it should be like a core principle during the whole process. Next slide, please. And what are the key student competencies for EDI-oriented design? As I mentioned, it is really necessary to have empathy and contextual awareness. So it means we need to student provides with observation, immersions, and dialogues with users. We need to develop critical and ethical thinking of students and their collaborative and co-design skills. So engaging users and stakeholders as equal partners, not only for testing, but also for co-designing, for working with all these stakeholders as equal partners. Also, it is necessary to develop research literacy and methodological adaptability of students. Also, hard skills are very important, not only soft skills. We need to develop technical and prototypic proficiency through modeling, testing, iteration. So these competencies bridge soft skills and hard skills, can create really well-rounded architects and designers capable of engaging with both human and technical complexity. Next slide, please. As it was mentioned, we covered 5 design fields in this framework. First is system design, then industrial design, then architecture and urban design, product design, and digital design. Next slide, please. And the structure of the framework is based on the levels, EDI levels, because we need to start with some basic level, then to move with intermediate, and then to provide advanced level. So it means that we divided, we created a set of modules for each design field at these 3 levels: basic, intermediate, and advanced. It means that we created 15 modules which can function either as a set of individual courses, but we prefer to integrate this module with other subjects or of the study program. So it means that you can use some parts, some topics, some activities also in other subjects, because it is really necessary not to create some separate modules or separate courses, but to have this topic integrated in all courses and subjects, especially in studio projects, in design projects. So it means that it is really necessary to have these modules or some part of these modules integrated in study programs. Next slide, please. The key elements of this framework consist of 6 parts. First, we provide the basic information. It means the design field, study level, if it is undergraduate, postgraduate, and also the EDI level. Then we need to have important learning objectives that describe the overall purpose of or targets of the module or course. Then we are providing teaching and learning activities that define the module topics, important lecture and seminar activities, also connected with educational resources and references. Then it is really necessary to provide learning outcomes and results with clear description, what we are waiting or what we want to achieve with students, some specific knowledge, skills, attitudes that students should be able to demonstrate after completing the module. And also it is necessary to have some assessment methodology or system and together with feedback from students and from teachers, from stakeholders that provide methods to measure and evaluate the learning process and learning outcomes. Next slide, please. This is an example because it is structured in some tables, this framework, and consists of lessons. So it means that there are some lessons with specific topics, with content, which is structured in this kind of way. And then they are connected with this topic and content, some activities in different types of learning environment, in physical, digital. So there are examples how to, for example, create provocative questions about human diversity in the built environment, how to, for example, to show some videos to students, how to motivate them to learn more about this topic. So there are some examples that can be used when you are creating your own module and your own course on this topic. So it is really helpful like a tool. Next slide, please. Also, we defined some learning outcomes, what students should be able to do after completing, for example, first lesson, which is like an introduction to this topic. So it means there are some examples of what kind of assignments you can do with students and what results of activities are at the end of this lesson. So it means you can have some kind of short presentation, short analysis. You can use Slido in digital way, in digital platform, and to collect some kind of answers from students on your questions, and to integrate or involve the students actively also in lectures, not only in some kind of exercises, but also during the lecture to be more active in this way. Next slide, please. And what is very important is also assessment and feedback, which should be collected not only at the end of the module or the course, but it should be collected during the whole module, whole course. So it means that it is necessary to collect student feedback in, for example, reflective discussions where teachers and students analyze and discuss learning outcomes. Also, during the learning, you can have some kind of formative assessment during the module, which is based on the active involvement of students directly in some activities, and then you can collect their opinions and about these activities. Also, at the end of the module, it is necessary to have some final assessment, the summative assessment, which is focused on the knowledge and implementation of EDI principles and human-centered design, for example, in the built environment, because this is apart from the module of architecture, focusing on architecture and urban design. So it means that in each part of these chapters, we defined what the students should know, how to assess them, what activities provide them, what references, what articles or books they can learn they can read to learn more about these topics. So it is such a guideline to provide us with this information and to collect this and to provide some kind of structure that can be very helpful for other teachers to create their own modules and own courses. Next slide, please. Also, we collected the best practices in teaching and learning methodologies, and we showed how, for example, this process, a learning process and methodology can be applied. It is, for example, in architecture and design, that we define some problems, some tasks, then we discovered, we define during the research what is necessary for students to have some site visit, to have some hands-on workshop analysis, not only surroundings, but also users' needs, because they need to have research before to start design. So to develop and deliver then to other students, to other stakeholders, what are the final designs, and also it is necessary to involve these stakeholders into this design part when they have, for example, participatory processes, interviews, observations, feedback sessions. Then they can co-design, they can create sketches, floor plans, and they can cooperate with the users, with different kinds of users. So it means that we also created such practices which can be very helpful to show the whole process of the module of the course, how to teach this design for EDI. Next slide, please. For example, we showed some examples of empathic simulations and on-site surveys and discussions with diverse users. This is an example from our Faculty of Architecture and Design, Slovak Technical University. So it means that we tested with students what is for them most like impressive, and how to create bigger awareness about this topic. So it means that we have some discussion, for example, with the woman which is in a wheelchair, but she is doing she's working in City Hall, and she has the whole topic of the accessibility, not only physical, but also cognitive accessibility, digital accessibility. So she was speaking about this with our students. And also we had some empathic exercises together with students and together with colleagues from Union of the Blind People in Slovakia. Next slide, please. Also, we had some projects that were connected with real-world projects. So it means that the topics that we chose for these courses and modules that were tested during this project were focused on the collaboration, for example, with museums, galleries, with different kinds of cultural institutions. The students should go there to have on-site visit in the building and in the area. They collected information. They did some interviews with with some people. I'm sorry. And then they were creating some kind of short interventions to provide solutions that are not very expensive, but they can really make easier, for example, access, or for example, information wayfinding in the building and in the area of this cultural facility. So it means that it was really helpful for students to learn more about this in practical way, in collaboration with stakeholders and in co-design with real users. Next slide, please. So this is part of Emilio's work. Probably he can tell us more about this best practices from his university.
Just a couple of words also on other teaching and learning methodologies that we have used, and especially because we have given students the chance, at least for what concerns the contribution of University of Chieti Pescara in Italy, to evolve some kind of paradigms in terms of new product development. This specifically was a project on a wearable technology led by a level 3 student, an undergraduate student that later on became the master dissertation. Also on how to progress, as you can see here below, the notion of stigmas for having sizes for clothes that sometimes don't respect what do people really feel when they want to buy new clothes, and basically because fashion is quite reluctant to accept EDI for some kind of markets. At the same time, because we worked on the product service system level, we moved into the postgraduate program, the Master of Inclusive Design, working with local communities. And what you can see here was about strategic communication intended like a process, a design-led process that enable community to express themselves in order to promote and develop a new shape for local community. This in particular was made in the Calascio, which is a small village in the Abruzzi region. Students engaged with local stakeholders for months, not just for hours. They were there, they worked with local people in order to not only create design outcomes, but also to really integrate a design process as a real life practice that they can replicate with other projects. Projects and all deliverables that we have created are all open access and already collected in our project website. As you can see here, the results of the teaching and learning framework is within the EDIDesKproject.com in forms of written documents and also graphical reports, where you can also see the other projects made by other universities, as well as a wide collection of students' projects spanning from products, services, architecture, communication, digital outcomes, and so on. Zuzana?
So just to conclude, there are some core strategic pillars. So as I mentioned, EDI must be systematically embedded across curricula, from introductory courses to advanced design studio and practical practice. And it should be connected with practical real-world collaborations. So it means that we need to link academic projects to real societal needs. We need to integrate EDI education with real-world collaborations involving municipalities, communities, industries, and NGOs. It should be multidisciplinary collaboration. We need to link design, sociology, psychology, and technology together. And also it is necessary to integrate this principle and to provide this as a transformative framework that defines both the goals and methods of design education. So it means it extends the designer's role beyond technical problem solving towards ethical leadership, social responsibility, and systemic awareness. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Zuzana. This is one of the interactive part of our presentation where we ask you to interact with us. I ask people that are here in Athens and the ones that are attending online to scan the QR code. There are really few questions that we ask you to answer, but they are very important for us. We leave you a couple of minutes. And don't copy the answers of your fellow.
Yes.
This introductory video demonstrates the basic use of our QR scanner and provides tips to easily scan even more difficult codes.
What do you mean by what is the main barrier for me?
Accepting and considering design for EDI as a teaching subject in the module, in the academic environment. Because what we discover is that EDI may have different levels of interpretation. I'll tell you, but just after you answer. What are the levels that we found? 30 seconds. So we can move now with the fourth part of the presentation. I'm happy to leave the stage to my colleagues, Ainoa, Abella. So far we have seen the results number 1 and 2 of the project. And these results were important from one side because we made clear that design for EDI is important. There are some teaching and learning methodologies that should be employed, and we try to make order in some ways to this amount of information to propose for the first time a standard. But proposing a standard and also don't creating the condition for which knowledge can be circulated inclusively is only the 50% of an important action like this one. For this reason, we decided to develop and design and develop a digital learning platform specifically focused on design education for EDI. So, Ainoa?
Okay, thank you so much. So now I'm going to introduce to this platform that it's an open access digital learning platform, as Emilio said, focused on EDI in design. So the main objective is to provide accessible, collaborative, and also expandable resources to help to integrate EDI principles into our practice. It could be academic or research part. Later I will show you, and we are going to navigate through this platform, but this platform is structured in 3 main sections that are called itineraries, so that are guided learning paths. Then we have the repository, that is an open archive of resources. And finally, the glossary, that are key concepts that are important to know, to understand, and to see that we are in the same page in this part. So as you can see, and later we are going to explore, these are the main sections apart from the about and the profile that we have. In order to make it more usable and easy to navigate through, we have find or think that the content search and navigation options should be relevant, so you could go directly to find the information that you want, or in this case, for example, we will see that it's in the glossary, the diverse definition, or add filter options, so that you could select if you want to find this information regarding one specific field, or maybe topic, or maybe the content type that we want to explore and understand. Once we have more or less this, we have understood what are the potential user or the user profiles that could use this platform and could be useful, and we have 4 different roles. These 4 roles also have some actions and some responsibilities that may change a little bit. So we have the contributors, we have the learners, the reviewers, and also the platform coordinator. And now I'm going to explain a little bit more, doing as an example or a user profile from each one. As I mentioned before, according to the user profiles, we have envisioned some potential actions and some of the main sections that go related to that part. The first one are the learners. So in here we have 2 different users. In this case, it's a student, a design student that wants to work with a specific university project that is related to EDI in design, but it's unsure where to begin. So this platform would help and also motivate to understand EDI, and also maybe help in the different steps of the process, and maybe this person could filter according to the level of the knowledge or maybe the content type that wants to understand. Also, the needs that we have detected are also related to the main sections. The second learner profile that we detect would be design teachers, as Emilio mentioned, a design professor that is interested in integrating EDI to be more aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals, that they have experience in the design education, but maybe they are new to the EDI in design. So they have the responsibility to transmit this knowledge to the students or other profiles, but they are uncertain about some concepts or how to apply it properly. So this platform could be used in this case to assess on EDI knowledge, how to apply in the projects, have some resources, some already toolkits or case studies that help with these actions. Then we have the contributor profile. So in here also we have detect two possible users. The first one would be the design teacher. So if you are or your course is specialized in EDI or you have this knowledge, would be nice to share this course content with other colleagues and also through different institutions to create these resources as an element, as our references. Another profile could be also the PhD student, researchers that want to focus on this specific topic or in a subtopic of EDI in design. And maybe the motivation could be that they want to adapt or translate their research into some more tangible resources or case studies or toolkits, etc. So they want to bring this gap between the academic research and the real-world application, as we see in some examples. Another profile that here it's mixed between contributor and reviewer could be a design association or design institution that it's focusing on this international network of educational institutions. So this could help to understand, to put in contact some different institutions, academic profiles, and help to promote better this into the practice. And finally, in order to do so and the platform goes correctly and the usability of that it's properly defined, there is a platform coordinator, in this case specialized in the design for EDI, that it's the role or the main role is the commitment to maintain this platform quality and the pedagogical resources. Also by reviewing the submitting itineraries, resources, glossary, and to check that there is this rigorosity and accessibility to the platform. So regarding this contribution part, as you can see here, there are different profiles that we have defined that they could contribute. This follows a process. Once you submit for an itinerary, there is a review process, and I would say within like 2 weeks, more or less, you have the answer. So that could be rejected, accepted, or accepted with some minor or major reviews. We have some established, or we are in the process of establishing basic requirements. That could be that the knowledge that you add or you submit needs to be relevant and with specific expertise. It needs to accept the policy that we are establishing, also regarding the authorships and everything that it's properly aligned. And also, since you are submitting within a specific profile and would be, you could see the person that is doing that, we will need to check the profile verification, just to meet these requirements as rigorous as possible. So here it's the first picture of the platform. Now I'm going to enter it and explain it a little bit more. So this is how it looks right now. We are, as Emilio mentioned before, this platform is under development, both in contents and the infrastructure and the wireframe. So here we have the main sections that I mentioned before, the repository, the itineraries, and the glossary. The about, that it's more information about the platform, the project, and how to contribute, and the specific profile for the user. So in here there are defined the main actions according of the specific objective that we want to use or that we are using this platform. And once, for example, if I go to learn and I submit, it goes directly to the itinerary part. So to begin, The itineraries, as I mentioned before, are guided learning paths that lead you into the key EDI topics. So here there are some examples. As you can see, it's under development, but here you will find information about one specific discipline with different elements and resources that are already curated in this specific topic. Also, you have the opportunity to create an itinerary if you want, and in here we have defined some content requirements. So minimum, it has to include at least 5 materials, and we have specified this here, like the variety of the formats, at least 2 different formats. So it could be, for example, a video and a scientific paper, or a podcast with a document that it's text, to see the differences and to make it more inclusive as possible. And of course, this itinerary needs to be arranged in a clear and logical and pedagogical coherent. So we will ask for the level. So it's an introduction, it's an intermediate, or it's an advanced kind of or typology of content. Then we have the repository. These are resources that are already curated and presented. As you can see, there are different typologies of content, like from videos, websites, articles, and here we are trying to respect as much as possible the authorship from each resource. And also, if the contributor wants, could add another resource, and here we gather some information before submitting. As you will see, there are some basic requirements that we are trying to do and to apply inside this platform that are related to the quality and the ethical standards. Finally, there is going to be a glossary part. In here we have the example of diversity with a proper definition that evolves also according to the society changes and the agreements that we do as a different perspective or fields, and with the references. So all of that is still under process, and so the goal of this platform that we are working to make it, I think the final version would be in September.
The final release?
Yes.
End of September.
End of September. So as you can see now, is a very under development, but already with a structure. So our goal is to have an open platform. That means that globally accessible. Then it's a development under the co-creation with different experts at different levels and with different fields that has an ethical approach, because we are providing some ethical guidelines. We want to respect the privacy and authorship standards. Also, to make this platform as a good example on how to embed inclusivity in the same platform itself with accessibility standards, inclusive language, and also the diverse representation. We will find different levels of expertise and multiple disciplines. And finally, this infrastructure is for change in a way that it would be, or we hope that this platform is dynamic and adaptive system as our society also evolve and change. So I showed you before the platform, the wireframe and the website, but also the content is under development. So here we have some examples of the itineraries that are under development. You can find the foundations of EDI in design, design methods and tools, EDI across design disciplines, education and pedagogy in design, EDI and languages also, and designing for EDI in public infrastructure. So just to put an example from the first one, here there are more than 12, but some of the contents that we are creating for this itinerary and other resources that we are mixing with different formats. And also, as you can see here, one of the main things that we are trying is also to represent diversity into the languages or the typology of materials that you would find. I'm sorry, I'm just in the middle. As I mentioned before, since itineraries are expected to offer a depth multiple perspective, including geographical, cultural, or disciplinary elements, and also to create this meaningful engagement, there will be some criteria to make it that coherent. That are the requirements that I mentioned before, with a variety of resources and the specific elements in order to submit this itinerary. And also we are developing the glossary. Here are some of the examples of the keywords that we are trying to define, and taking into account the different fields and also the perspective. So this is an example, and soon it will appear in the website. Just two things to mention about accessibility and ethics. So we are trying to use some standards as a minimum in our platform. So it would include text-based documents with different elements that fit the criteria, also some images and video and audio content. So that represents the diversity also of how we learn and how it could be approached, the different contents according to the needs. And finally, this quality and ethical standard that I mentioned before. So all the content must demonstrate respectful, responsible engagement with individuals, communities, and context. Contributors are the responsibles for ensuring that the material is original and legitimately reused. So that would be the part of the authorship, or at least reference it properly. And then the content must not include personal data unless it's explicit and they have informed consent. So we are trying to define this graduate set of measures in case there is no compliance of these requirements, with warnings, maybe temporary removals, or suspension about that. So that is...
Yeah, this is the second round of electricity. This is the second round of structured feedback. So basically we would like to hear from you at the moment. The QR code is also for people online, or if you want to take a picture that later on you want to interact. This is very important for us because the platform, in fact, we didn't call it the teaching website, but a proper platform that uses bottom-up logics in order to gather, to gang contents, but as well as different users and contributors that at different level may be keen to take inspiration from some concept, to use unbiased contents, to translate, enrich the quality and the level of what we did. Because the project is about inclusivity, so most of the contents that we already shown in the work package number 3 are already translated in different languages, such as English, Slovak, Spain, Italian, and Polish. And the platform, the beauty of the platform is also the one that is represented in the motto of the European Union, united by diversity. So even in terms of knowledge, the diversity should be something that can characterize the way we teach, learn, and we can get access to information. It's not about books, it's not about article, it's instead any kind of information that may generate a consistent growing in terms of student skills, teaching skills, as well as. So this is the link for the platform as well. And there should be also a link, yes, for a questionnaire. I think this is the last questionnaire for you. Because the feedback from an informed community is also very important for us in order to have a double check, because so far everything works perfectly in our mind, but even hearing from you may also be inspiring also to understand if we are working and if we are aligned to what the design community may also expect from us. Yeah, the logic.
Because you say it's
The logic behind the platform is the copyleft.
copyleft. Okay.
It's not the copyright. However, you cannot put copyleft something that you don't have the right to publish. So for what concerns, for example, educational content, such as an important book on inclusive design, you can post, you can mention the book, and then you can add the link on which students and teachers can buy the book. That is the maximum thing that we can do in order to guarantee fairness from one side, and on the other side, peer review acceptance of what you would like to make. But instead, if you would like to make a presentation, if you would like to record a video about a specific topic, you can do it. In that sense, you agree that the video will be publicly released in an open access modality. So that is an informed choice that you need to take. Do you have a problem with the phone? We will share the presentation anyway, if you want.
So you mentioned that in the for the language that there are like the reports and
Yes.
so there are like many that have already been translated. The page will also be translated as a whole?
I asked the help for the technical, they are the technical part, the technical angels behind the platform.
I think we're going to the website and the platform will be in English, but since we have the options with Google Translator, so first we are going to finish that and later see if we could have different languages on that. But the first step would be finish all in English and have these different resources, itineraries with different languages. That would be.
So let's, the last part is if you would like to sign up, if you would like to stay informed, we ask people that are here obviously and those from home that are attending via Zoom, if they would like to stay tuned. Because very soon we will start working on the real development of contents so that the platform will be officially online since now. Now, 2 seconds ago, it was online. But yeah, the important part and the most sensitive one is the first set of content that we will release. Not because we would like to, pin our authorship on something, but because even the list of itineraries that we propose are the one needed to set up a foundation on the topic, and then from that we can build and grow up together. So, the last thing that I can say is, obviously, thank you, and we are used to close our presentations with saying thank you in all languages of the project. So, and if you see that your language is missing, that's exactly what we hope at the end of this presentation, so that you can be part of our family in the future as well. We are available to any question, if you have any question, if you would like to discuss specific topics. I'm fully aware that it's 7 p.m. and you are probably very tired from a very long second day of conference, but we are here to present the academic community our work. Therefore, we are more than happy to. Yes?
So I have a question in terms of the structure of the page. So in terms of the structure of the web page, have you thought about including a directory of institutions that work with disabled people, like in terms of so if we are using the web page and we would like to engage our students in certain projects, maybe getting to know what institutions are working with them. Yeah, because sometimes I have found that it's kind of difficult to know who are working with blind people in this or that area, or with people with physical disabilities.
That's for sure an interesting part, because the platform, you are talking about a network.
Yes, yes, exactly.
The platform was not originally designed as a network, but for sure it can be one of the cornerstones of a network. And in fact, one of the aims that we hope in the future is also to use the platform wisely in order to leave anyone interested the opportunity to use it as they want. But one of the things that for sure we can do is also, granting credits to anyone that contribute to the platform in different levels. So that could be, for example, I don't know why, but the colleagues only added my descriptions here. What is the role? What is the contribution? What you did for the community? It may also be, a little elements that maybe can be aligned to what you propose. But for sure, one of the things that we can easily consider for the platform, maybe as a second step for implementation, is to link the platform to a network of academic stakeholders that may cooperate.
Yeah, or like institutions themselves,
obviously.
NGOs that working with their projects.
Obviously, yes. Oh, I forgot. So we hope that you enjoyed the presentation, and we are really so proud of what we have done, and not because we did this, but we see that every time that we present this kind of topic, more than ever, this topic is very important. And 3 years ago, we didn't realize that we were working on something timely. Before you leave, we only ask you to sign just in terms of recording the attendance of the meeting. And, if you have any other question, our emails is on the paper here on the project website, but we can share our contacts later on. And that's all. Thank you. Yes.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Hi, Zuzana.
Goodbye.
Hi, Marta. Hi, Alessia.
Hi, bye-bye. Thank you.